Hi, it's Miss Hamilton, and we're going to talk about identifying quadrants today. My standard is understanding signs of numbers in ordered pairs as indicating locations in quadrants of the coordinate plane. So basically, we're going to look at the signs of some coordinates and figure out where they end up on the plane. So a little vocabulary here. Here's my coordinate plane. Again, we have my x-axis going horizontally here, and we have my y-axis going up and down. The positive numbers are to the right of 0. The negative numbers are to the left of 0 on the x-axis. And the positives are above 0 on the y, and the negatives are below 0 on the y. My origin is here in the middle. This is where they meet. The coordinates of that are 0, 0. An ordered pair, we also call them coordinates, come in the form of an x and a y. So first we tell you how far to the right or left you're going to go, and then how far up or down you're going to go. And when you break this plane up using the two axes, you can see we have 4 different quadrants. That's what we call our quadrants. So what are the quadrants? So here's my coordinate plane. There is my x-axis and my y-axis. You can see a little bit better here that it's broken into 4 separate areas. So over here we have positive numbers, and we have positive numbers going up. So if your coordinate's going to end up in here, it's called quadrant 1, and both of my coordinates, my x and my y, are positive. So if I look at the coordinates and they're both positive, it ends up in quadrant 1. If we were to come to the other side here, and instead of going positive, we go negative on the x, and then we go up for the positive y, we end up in what we call quadrant 2. Quadrant 2 has a negative x and a positive y. So if you see your coordinates as being negative and then positive, you end up in quadrant 2. Quadrant 3 is down here at the bottom. The signs of both coordinates are negative. So it's a negative x and a negative y. First we go left and then we go down. We end up in this area. It's called quadrant 3. Both are negative. And then my last one over here, my last quadrant, if I go to the right and I have a positive x and then go down, I end up in this area, and that is quadrant 4. Here my coordinate pair has a positive and then a negative. This is quadrant 4. So sometimes you might have a time when you have a 0 in your ordered pair. For instance, this coordinate here, it's on the x-axis. We would write that coordinate pair as 5, 0 because we go to the right 5, but then we don't go up or down, so my y is 0. We would simply say it's on the x-axis. We don't put it in a quadrant. We just say it's on the x-axis. The same goes if a coordinate ends up on the y-axis. So up here, see, we don't go left or right. We're staying on that axis. So my x is actually 0 and my y is 5. We would simply say that falls on the y-axis. So if you look, if you have a 0 as the first coordinate as the x, it's going to end up on the y-axis. If you have a 0 as the second coordinate, it's going to end up on the x-axis. So to summarize it up for you, if you have 2 positive coordinates, positive, positive, it's going to fall in quadrant 1. If the x is negative and the y is positive, so the first one's negative, second one's positive, you're going to always end up in quadrant 2. If both coordinates are negative, you end up in quadrant 3. If the x is positive and the y is negative, you're going to have a positive and then a negative coordinates. You end up in quadrant 4. Then there are those special times if there is a 0 as the x, so it's 0 and then a number, any number y, you're going to stay on the y-axis. And if your coordinate has a 0 as your y, so it's some number as the x and then 0, you actually end up on the x-axis. So that's your summarization. You just need to memorize these. All right, good luck.